So a big win for the Indianapolis Colts. Big win over the weekend. Exposed the Miami Dolphins for potentially the bad football team that they are. And then some people noticed that Carlie Irsay Gordon, who is the new Colts owner and CEO, she took over after her father passed away. She was on the sidelines wearing a headset. Interesting little approach to being the new owner, taking control. But people went back and listened to her press conference from a couple of months ago, and she explained her reasoning as to why she's on the sidelines with a headset on during games.
That sort of accelerated I need to learn more about this. I need to be able to say, is this person full of BS? Do they even know what they're talking about? And I think one of the things that being on the headset has really helped me learn is, to the question earlier, it's such a complex organism, a football team and how it operates. And on game day, and you could say, oh, that person ran that route wrong. When you learn to find, someone tagged the wrong wide receiver, and it wasn't really the player's fault. It was the person that called it. So, and it's never, I think that's been a very valuable, because it also helps us be able to know, where do we need to make tweaks? What resources do we need? What do we need to fix? So much of it comes down to just how we operate and how things work. And the headsets are really, I wish more. I would suggest it for anyone else that has to pay coaches and GMs millions and millions of dollars. It helps you make a less expensive mistake potentially.
All right, let's just break some things down really quick. And this is probably going to get some pushback from some of our female listeners, but the reality is what she just gave as an example doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Like, maybe someone tagged the route wrong. No, it's not how it works. If she actually was there during the course of the week, which is equally as important to understand how all that happens on a Sunday, for all these people you're paying millions of dollars, she would then understand that game plan, the call sheet that they're going over, that is gone over 5 or 6 times. It is printed out, laminated, exactly how the coach and the quarterback and the players want it to be. So all that play caller is doing is reading off the game plan. So unless there's some sort of issue, he's dyslexic, there's a Freudian slip, dang, he's calling that, tagging it exactly how they want it to be, exactly how they've prepared for the entire week. Exactly how maybe they've installed it and put it together and practiced it since training camp and OTAs and minicamp. So this is one example to me of someone who's now in a position of power of ownership because she's inherited the team, where it's like I'm listening to her talk going, oh God, you're in charge of making decisions now. And this could be anyone, right? But it just happens to be, a female in this case. But I understand her wanting to be more involved. That's great. Be there every day then. Either be there or don't. Like, don't just drop in on a Sunday, be on the headset, and act like you're going to be able to know everything. There's way deeper levels to how this all comes together. And like that example was like even at the high school level, like there's a call sheet, they're going to signal things in or whatever else. There's usually not as much of a blame on whether or not it was tagged the right way. It's usually on the player. He ran the wrong route. He had a two-way go, depending on the coverage. It was the wrong coverage. He messed up. Wasn't the right depth. Quarterback could have miscalled it, but that would be on him, the player. It's not on the guy usually reading it off the sheet. And half the time they wristband some of the longer calls just so the quarterbacks don't have to worry about that. So I sit there and I listen to this. I just go, it's frustrating because they get a great win, which has nothing to do with this. But when adversity hits, you're going to have someone chiming in who's like, they're on a Sunday listening to a headset and acting like that's the entire picture of how this all came together. Like, that's concerning to me.
I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach to it. When I saw the story, my thought process was immediately, I'm a serial entrepreneur. And And being a serial entrepreneur, I have learned some very, very valuable lessons connected to business and how business works and what are practices that can position you to be successful. And the one thing that I've come back to over and over again that I exercise now is that I learn from the bottom up. Right? Like I don't go into a business situation just throwing my money at something. I actually want to learn it. I want to feel it. I want to understand it. So in that manner, I can sympathize with what she's saying. But if you're going to say you want to understand who you're paying and what you're doing, start at the bottom. Like, get to know the people who are taking care of the locker room and actually take a day or two. You know, you don't have to live their lives, but understand what goes into taking care of the locker room. Vladi, what's up to Vladi? I hope he's still alive. Hope he's doing well. I used to do these things unintentionally, but I used to just really get close to the people that were working. I go in the back where the equipment people were.
What up, Vladi?
Get to know Vladi took care of our locker room, boy. Get to know the people who take care of the equipment and what they do. Understand how they organize, because let me tell you something. You want to take certain things for granted, like how they call plays. Start at the root. Learn how they order. Learn what goes on in those rooms. The film crew, learn what they do. Understand how they organize the plays and how they create cut-ups and whatever it may be that they're doing that's connected to it. Go into the training room. Learn what they're doing. Learn how they're organized. Learn what is the backstory or the thought process of how you're taking care of the players. Go to the cafeteria. Do the same exact thing. Go out on the field. Learn how they're taking care of the field. And while you may sit there and think that, those are immaterial things, those things don't really play a part, I'm going to start with the coaches because I'm paying the coaches. They are super, super critical to the functionality of your team. So if you're really saying you want to learn and understand who you're paying and what you're doing, then understand how it all fits together. Don't open up a puzzle box and there's only 5 pieces when it's a 500-piece puzzle. You don't see the full picture that way. So you have to be humble enough. If that's what you're going to give as your reasoning, then you need to, as the new owner of that team, you actually need to walk yourself through the process. I did it when we launched the Bear. I went to the plant. I watched the process. I learned the process and what went into how they did everything and all the different things and even then I'm not there doing the entire process. I don't understand every single minute little detail. I understand it enough to say, yep, I feel good about that. Yeah, right. I should have. He would have been diving in those dips.
Excuse me, sir. You can't bathe in it.
You can't. You know that's the hot one, right? You're going to burn yourself. He ain't even burning up.
Sir,
he's immune to burning up.
Can't take snorkels in there, sir.
Let me tell you something too. By the way, have you guys ever did a tour of a brewery? It tastes so much different coming right out than it does when you get it at the store or in a restaurant. It is amazing when it comes right out. But I digress. The point I'm making is I don't have a problem with her saying she wants to understand it and learn it more. I have a problem with don't skip in the process. Don't skip up to the coaching staff. And really, for what it's worth, she's the owner. She can be wherever she wants to be and do it how she wants to do it. But in reality, why put yourself in the public eye that way? You can use those headphones. Those headphones are cellular. She could sit anywhere, be anywhere with some goggles, looking at whatever it is she wants to look at, and having somebody there that can help her to understand it and talk her through it. She could have her notepad out, take her notes, or have somebody dictate what she's thinking if she is truly that invested. And I'll say that if she's truly that invested, go through the process. If not, it makes me feel like it's a clout chase. Like, oh, and this might get me some pushback. You're a girl. You're in the NFL. That's a guy's sport. It's a guy's league, and you're now the owner. Are you clout chasing? Are you trying to say, y'all should respect me because now I understand what you guys are calling, what you're doing, what it is? Don't turn it into one of those deals, because to me, it only makes you look worse in the end when you try to start talking about things that you really don't know.
If she was, girl, guy, dog, I mean, who cares in my mind? Because remember when back during the draft, Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones were sitting together, and there was a story that came out that Jerry Jones wanted Jimmy Johnson, when the camera was focused on the Cowboys' war room, to be talking with him so it looked like Jerry Jones had some influence on the next pick. It was all for optics. It was all for clout chasing, if you will. And Jimmy Johnson looked at him and just gave him a side eye like, wait, what? And it's his team. He can do whatever he wants. It's her team now. She can do whatever she wants. But at some point, you've got to have trust that the people you have in place know way more about this stuff than you do. Like know way more about it. And I'm saying that as somebody who's also a non-player. And so I always defer to you guys to certain aspects of football, because you're always going to know way more than I'm going to know. Shout out to Ryan Clark.
Ryan Clark.
But I just think, like, there's got to be some level of trust that, hey, as much as I want to be in the know of what's happening here because it's my team, also, I'm never going to know as much as those people know. And I got to trust that they're making the right decisions out there. By the way, I meant to ask you guys this.
Hey, by the way,
how come you never pull the you didn't play card like Ryan Clark does with me? Why not? Dust that off from time to time.
You did play.
I mean,
well, I don't feel like I need to expose my private parts to y'all either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, why would you want to do that?
Because we don't need to measure. I don't. If you're happy with your life and where you're at, and you have opinions, you're happy with your life and you have opinions. Just because one of us may be more endowed than the other doesn't mean that you're lesser of a person. You know what I mean? You're allowed to have. An opinion.
I guess I'll put it this way: everyone's got a different perspective, and just simply coming from the former player perspective doesn't mean that it should hold more weight, right? I mean, the general masses don't, have any experience like players do or coaches do, but they're the ones watching and consuming. I know like Big Cat and PFT were making fun of the situation with the way they responded to that, saying how, well, he was on the grass while he was playing. We were the ones building up these hot takes for the media.
Right.
We were spending all those years grinding, watching the tape while you were playing. So you don't have our experience and perspective in this world of media, which is kind of funny, but it's also kind of true. Like, they've been in the game a lot longer in that sense. My thing is, like, it's just to sit there and say someone can't have a good point, a good perspective on what's taking place purely because they didn't play. And especially when some of these people who know the players, who know the coaches, the agents, and they're being told something specifically from that perspective, and they might even be echoing that. That's part of their job. That's part of how we kind of translate what's going on to, the people out there who aren't in that position, who don't know the player, the agent, the coach. That's part of the story too. So I just, we don't need to put a lot of energy or time into it. That guy's made his bed. He looks at things through one prism, and it is what it is.
I mean, I'm just letting you guys know, free pass. Let that fly anytime you want. I won't get sensitive to it. Like, I won't be upset about it.
But the point I'm telling you is there is no point to do it. Where
That's kind of fun. Why not? It's kind of fun. Just pants me on the air from time to time. What's wrong with that?
It's such a small industry. Like, think about how many people are on our lineup. Think about how many people are on their daily lineup. It's not very many. And Schrags is like super well respected. You're a team. You're on there together. You're there to do a job. There's a gazillion people that will want to be sitting in that seat, and they're not there. So it doesn't even cross my mind to even feel like I got to do something like that to prove a point. I just, I don't know.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's my old teammate, man.
By the way,
RC. That's been some disappointing stuff he's been doing.
Well, that's great, but there's a lot of people who don't like him because I remember when he was trying to come at me, I had people from ESPN reaching out, and they're like, I hate having to work with this guy. And I was like, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. He's it's a bit much.
Like I said, when I met Dom, I knew Dom many, many years ago. You know what I mean? People change. People change. So I don't know.